Okay, so let's look at making black from colour. And in my last video I think we talked about how you could make black from the primary colours, red, blue and yellow. We also looked at black as itself. You know, it's a neutral colour. It has no sort of, if you put white in it, it's just going to go grey. So let's look at some of the options that you could use to make a black. Now the first option, of course, is that you could just use black itself. Okay, so rather than just use black on its own, which is a rather dull way of using black because it has no vibrancy to it, it has no sort of life, if you like, in it. It's a lifeless, dead sort of colour. And this is usually quite a problem where people use black to darken things, is they fail to realise that a lot of shadows aren't actually truly black. They're dark browns and they're dark reds and they're dark blues and dark greens, but they're rarely devoid of colour like black is. So what you could do is you could just use a black like this Mars black, which is in fact quite a fast drying black, which is good. And you could take some magenta like this, and you could just add magenta to it. Okay, now you've instantly got a really dark, lustrous black, but it's got a sort of raspberry sort of overtone to it, if you like, blackberry maybe, I don't know. It's fruity anyway, it's a fruity look. Winter fruits, or whatever you want to call it. Sounds like a yoghurt now, doesn't it, rather than a colour. But see, this is now a lovely purpley black. Nice, yeah. Or you could take black and add green to it. Can't remember the last time I ever did that, but you know, something else you could do if you're working with greens. And now you've got an instantly lovely black en masse that's going to be beautiful. And then if you add a little white to it to make a tint, you can see you have a greeny black. Yep. Sharpen the cameras, add a little bit more white. Yeah. And you have a greeny black. So you've got purple black, greeny black, and if you want to take black again, let's use again, and this time let's add a little bit of ultramarine to it. And now we've got, well, where black tends to naturally go, and that's blue. Black is really blue, and this is how you'd make an indigo. In fact, if you want to make an indigo, just add black to blue, and there you go, you got indigo. Indigo. That's a bad joke, isn't it? Anyway, if I add some white to that, look, you can see that it's blue-ish. Okay. So there you go. So instantly, you've got three interesting blacks from. Let's just tip that so you can see that a bit more. This is blue. There you go. Sorry. I'll try to go down that far with the mixes next. So you've got. Let's move some here actually, so you can see it on here. So it's in camera. There you go. So you've got interesting blues, blacks. So you've got purple black, green black, blue black. And all I've done is taken boring black or dead lifeless black and added some colour to it. Yeah. Adding colour to it has given you beautiful lustrous darks rather than dull lifeless black. And you can do the same if you want darks, and this is a good tip. This is raw umber, but you can do it with burnt umber. Raw umber will naturally prefer to be mixed with cool colours because it's a cool brown. So if you want to match it, then you'd be matching blue and green to it rather than red. But you can mix red with it as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's add a little bit of red to raw umber. And now you've got a nice dark brown, and brown is a combination of all the three primaries. And there you go, you've got a lovely warm brown there. And all I've done is taken a rather dull, lifeless colour, which on its own actually, raw umber makes a lovely grey. Let's just demonstrate that. A little bit of in there. The raw umber on its own actually makes a really nice grey. If you're using flesh tones and doing skin, then this is a priceless colour. And if you want to, because it's a sort of cool brown, because it's on the greeny side of things, if you wanted to add a little bit of black to it, you can make a more neutral colour. For adding raw umber to black will give you a more neutral grey. Well, that is because raw umber is green in nature and black is normally blue in nature. Green is a mixture of blue and yellow. When you add blue and yellow to blue, you're going to get a greenish hue. Okay. If you want that to be more neutral, you're going to have to add the missing colour, which is going to be red, and that should increase its neutrality. Anyway, get off the point there. So, what other darks can you make? You can add green to raw umber. You can add blue to it. You can add yellow, but I don't know why you'd do that. You wouldn't make it very dark. You'd make it lighter. But what you could also do is you could take this like lovely phthalo green here, and you could add magenta to that. That makes an incredible black. And in this case, it's made it blue-black. Okay, I'll reveal that with a bit of. There you go. See that? Add a little bit of white to there, and you've got a blue-black. Now, that's blue-black from, don't forget, magenta and green. Yeah, that's a bit of a does your head in that, doesn't it? Really. Let's add more red to the green, and just by changing the ratios a little bit, a little bit more. Just by changing the ratios of green to blue, I've now got another beautiful black. We've now got a purpley black. Yeah. These are great blacks. These are great alternatives to ordinary black. Yeah, black's a cool colour, but literally and figuratively, but it's actually much nicer when you've got these blacks or darks that are actually radiating colour out from them. If I want to make black from the three primaries, then I need magenta, I need blue, to make a purple, and then I add the missing primary, this one, yellow, and that will start to give me a neutral black. A bit heavy on the green there, so if I can get some more of that in there. Getting there. Because I'm a bit heavy on the yellow, it's made it a super dark grey, but it is actually achieving neutrality. Yeah, that's not bad. So using the three primaries, not very much yellow, though I use a bit too much there. I've actually achieved another black, this time a neutral version, but by using the three primaries. And it's actually, if you add white to it, it's slightly on the purpley side of things. So if I add more yellow to that, it's going to make that, I could tip it into proper neutrality. So there you go, really. It's just a quick introduction to using black and adding colours to it to make more interesting darks. I mean, instead of using raw umber, I could use burnt umber and red. That's quite a magenta. That's quite a common one for me. Magenta is very close to alizarin crimson. It's more permanent. And in fact, if you had magenta, I've run out, so let's put a little bit more up there. It doesn't matter where you buy the magenta from, it tends to be pretty good wherever you get it from. This is the cheap one. And PR 122 again. But yeah, if you use magenta and a little yellow to it, yeah, you have very close to alizarin crimson. And if I want to make it slightly browner, which alizarin crimson is really, I guess, add a little bit blue to it. There you go, made it more crimson. So alizarin crimson really is a slightly browner version of magenta, but it's actually not. Crimson isn't steadfast. Steadfast. It's not steadfast, folks. No, it's not light fast. It will fade over time, so that's why I use magenta a lot more than I use alizarin crimson. Because being a quinacridone colour, it's more permanent. So there you go. Have I missed any that I can think of? There, the classic darks are normally maybe brown, but if you think about it, brown is, again, you know, let's make a brown, shall we? Easiest way to that is make an orange. Okay. And this actually is a dirty orange. And why is it dirty? Because magenta has a blue overtone to it, okay? So it is red, but it has a little bit of blue in there. And so I'm actually mixing purple to start with into yellow. And this lemon yellow has got a little bit of blue in it as well. So I've got double blue overtones. I've got a lemon yellow, which is on the green side of things, and green is yellow and blue, yeah? So I've got a little bit of blue in here, and I've got a little bit of blue in there. And when you put them together, you actually get a much browner orange than you would if you used warm red and yellow. Hang on, let's just turn this into brown by adding more blue to it. Okay. So this is what happens if you get if you want to. This is one of the outcomes basically that the three primaries will give you. They will either give you they'll either give you purpley brown, or they will give you orangey brown, or they give you greeny brown if you don't get them quite right. And if you balance them out correctly, you should get grey. But there you go, you've got there's brown from the three primaries. And if I fiddle around with that, I could actually make that more burnt umbery, or I could make it more raw umbery by adding more green to it. So there you go, there's brown from the three primaries. And let's simply prove my point there. Let's get some cadmium yellow out. There's cadmium yellow. Yeah, not very much of it. Let's get some cadmium red. Now these are both warm reds, yeah? And warm reds mean that the red is going to have a little bit of yellow in it, and the yellow is going to have a little bit of red in it because they're next to one another on the spectrum. Now if I make an orange out of these, just make sure I haven't got any blue on my palette knife. Yeah, that's nice. You see that? Yeah, that's a nice clean yellow. Now if I add a little bit of kind of rather oily cadmium red to it, that is a much cleaner orange than the one we had before. It's got some paint skin in there, little flecks. Okay, but that's a much brighter orange than this one was, because they have no blue. The red and the yellow don't contain blue, whereas this red contains blue and that yellow contains a little bit of blue. So there you go. These are a quick introduction to making darks and some more fiddling around with the three primaries. So yeah, if you're going to use black in your paintings, unless you intentionally want it to be dead looking, try not to use black on its own. Nothing wrong with using black. Black is a fine tool, but try to add something to it if you want to make it more interesting, because it gives you all these lovely tints that come out of it as well. Okay, so you don't want to you're just going to get grey out of that, where this you get purple and a lovely reddy brown and blues and more purple and some greens. So there you go, darks made from primaries and black.